guys? Great to be here. A bit about myself. I'm Matt Ikram. I'm the MEF advisor for Asia, running a lot of the Asia interest group for members of MEF, as well as coming to India for this event and other places. So I just want to do a quick kind of overview of this topic, RCS, a crystal ball into business messaging. RCS is one of the most exciting enterprise communication. We've been doing this all over the world. We were last in Miami. Before that, last year we're in London, Indonesia. RCS is a topic that excites our members, our enterprise, aggregators, operators. It's, I think, where the future is. And coming back to a bit about the some of the keynote and the from Arvind about that's one of the focus for GTS, obviously, and many of the players in Indian market. We heard about Mr. Pankaj, our chief guest speaker, talking about wanting India to lead. I think RCS could be a model because India is the leader in terms of RCS adoption, in terms of RCS growth, in terms of RCS, even traffic. In terms of billions, I mean, you guys, India is actually off the chart compared to the rest of the world. So I think India has the momentum, the ability, the use cases to lead the world in RCS. So with that, I'd like to introduce my panelists. First, let's have Pallavi Kudtarkar, Executive Director from GTS, to come on stage. Ms. Spandana Dhaduti, Go-to-Market Manager for RCS from Google. Nikhil Shoorji, Senior Director, Global Business Development at Infobip. Seth, CEO at Peacom Indonesia. Barinderpal Singh Mumick, Vice President of Business Development and Operation at Dotgo. And I'll join you guys in the panel. Thank you. So we're going to make this fun and exciting because we are the only thing preventing these guys from going to lunch. So let's kind of set the stage. We know RCS has experienced tremendous growth. We saw my colleague Gavin talked about the data which show even the growth in India exceed the growth of WhatsApp, which is kind of amazing if you think about it. And of course, in India we relaunched RCS 2 years ago. So before I want to get deeper into the conversation, I like each of the panelists to share briefly, what do you see as the most single transformative aspect of RCS for businesses in India? Maybe I'll start from my left, Barinderpal.
I think that's a great start. I think, as Matt, you said, we are at the verge of, we are really at the 2-year anniversary of relaunch of RCS. And what has changed in the last 2 years? I think the marketing for brands has changed completely in the last couple of years. SMS marketing has given way to rich, great experiences, visuals, and really providing totally different dynamic for marketing use cases, and has taken over. 2 years ago, WhatsApp was the only channel which was available as an option for marketing. Now, RCS is a very viable and a formidable channel for marketing, has taken over the market in India. And a lot of brands are now really preferring it as the preferred channel for marketing. So that's really the big change over the last couple of years that we've seen.
Okay. Samir, your thoughts?
So first of all, thank you so much. For having me. And it's a matter of pride because MEF is really raising the voice of the industry so effectively. Coming to the business messaging, yes, as Barinder just mentioned, so industry messaging is evolving, and we from the Peacom side, we are focusing and enabling the enterprises to use the new technology, particularly the RCS, and providing the solutions for their end customers. So basically, this is how we are trying to help the end users to get benefited from this technology, which is RCS.
Perfect. Nikhil?
Yeah, I think RCS is extremely feature-rich, and we all talk about moving away from using channels as just transaction engines and adding value. So I feel that RCS gives that and brings the opportunity to add value to the customer journey. So whether it's anti-fraud or uncluttering your inbox and making sure that you feel safer that messages are coming from a verified brand. So the logo is verified both by the MNO and by Google. So I think that's a huge feature that helps and adds value. I mean, just one of them. There are a lot of them that are there.
Just keep, yeah.
In my opinion, I think, there has been a significant change in the way messaging behavior has evolved, right, over time. Today, if I were to quote a stat, for example, 77% of the consumers are more likely to interact with a brand over messaging versus traditional channels like apps, website, or phone calls. With this change, what has happened and what this means for brands is, as a brand now, you can live in your user's inbox, right? They can reach out to you with one click and kind of like have that entire conversation that they would likely want to have with the brand. Now, needless to say, we all know that RCS is a messaging standard. Google's vision for RCS extends beyond Android, right? It is poised to become the default messaging application across all smartphones. And we've all seen and heard and very happy about RCS supporting RCS on iOS. And if you look at their global efforts in terms of expanding that effort as well, it is a signal to how strong this trajectory stands, right? So what this does is it creates a seamless and more of a ubiquitous messaging positioning for RCS as a default messaging channel. And I think this itself kind of transcends beyond devices, and that's the one single most transformative aspect of RCS, just the way in how the ecosystem is designed and how it is positioned in smartphones.
Okay. Pallavi?
So RCS itself says about its rich media, right? Rich communication services. So it's more about customer experience and customer engagement. And I think it's more feasible for any end consumer or a person to interact with the brands very seamlessly. So of course, RCS is changing the face of communication. And I think that is what the next channel, I'll say, more predominantly taking over.
Okay, wonderful. So let's go deep into the RCS a bit. My next question is to Spandana from Google. I mean, I know Google has been very instrumental in terms of, kind of the growth of RCS globally. But I want Spandana, if you can share some insight on how RCS reach has increased in India in the past 6 months or so, and kind of highlights where India stands in the global RCS journey in terms of traffic and volume.
Thanks, Matt. And I think we are in a very, very comfortable position to answer that today. We've heard from the panelists before us that the opportunity in India is obviously vast, right? And if you were to see, more than 90% of the adults in India are more likely to message a business versus on a business messaging channel. Now, the growth for RCS has been unprecedented. We saw numbers from Gavin, right? It is 26, 29x in the last 18 months alone. And I'm very happy to say that India is leading the chart in those efforts, right? And to the effect of, 26 times the growth. And what this has also done in terms of the brand onboarding, like we heard the folks speak on SMS and other messaging channels. Today, as we speak, we have thousands of prominent brands in India that have already adopted RCS, right? What this explosive growth in the past 6 to 8 months or even 18 months of that effort coming through in terms of the results that we see today, what this indicates or underscores is the kind of adoption or the hockey stick adoption rate that RCS has seen, making or sort of reassuring that RCS's ability that it can provide and it can offer to the brands, right? And there are three main levers that have contributed to this success. The first one is obviously the channel capabilities, and we'll elaborate on that a little. Nikhil spoke about it. We also heard from Barinderpal in terms of what kind of features and things like that. So one is obviously channel capabilities. The second is in terms of the reach or the coverage in India in terms of the users. I was very happy, and I'm like happy to share with James. He was very excited about the geo numbers. In India today, we have 500 million plus RCS users, which is a very, very exciting pool, right? And this has not come easy. There has been a lot of effort and a lot of ecosystem efforts, right? We have all of our partners today here, the carriers who have kind of contributed, and the kind of efforts that Google has put into it. So two main aspects of this channel reach increasing. So one is your obviously Android replacement market, which is the organic Android replacement market. And second thing, something that we introduced in December was the dual SIM support. Now, RCS is a SIM card based solution. Up until December, only primary SIM card was supported. We all know India is a big dual SIM market, and that kind of elevated our reach in terms of the numbers. And the third, and again, like very excited to talk about it, is the ROI. We've heard about Wish speak so much about enterprise and what matters to the enterprise. So if you were to talk to brands, all that matters to them. I have been a marketer myself, so all that mattered to me then was ROI, and that is what RCS delivers. I think all of this has contributed to the kind of success, both in terms of volume and in terms of reach in India.
So maybe a follow-up to Barinderpal about, you Dotgo work closely with Google and Vodafone to relaunch India, and how do you see from a use case perspective, and of course comment on growth, in India?
Yeah, I think while RCS has seen a lot of growth over the last couple of years since its relaunch, Spandana just talked about us hitting 500 million RCS users. 2 years ago when we launched, around 200 million users. So you see close to about 200% growth in RCS. Very, very exciting. And RCS traffic has really exploded over the last 2 years, continues to grow month on month. And while we have seen such a huge growth, we just still at the beginning of we're still at a very infancy stages to growth. There is a lot of growth. RCS has been mostly today adopted for marketing use cases by large brands. There are probably another 10x, 20x brands that are going to be added over the next year or two to really propel the growth even further. On top of that, there are ISVs, there are agencies who need to start using RCS into their software solutions, and then they bring in a huge new set of brands on board into the system, driving traffic, driving adoption, driving usage for those systems. On top of it, agentic AI is going to turbocharge a lot new use cases into it, whether it comes in terms of support, security, and stuff. So the agentic AI use cases enable RCS, send unlimited number of messages for a fixed fee. Amazing. And so the RCS growth, we're just scratching the surface. There's a lot more to be achieved. Yep. And we at Dotgo, we enable ISVs, agencies, give them an easy path to get them onboarded on RCS, and with that, bring all the brands that they work with on stuff. Look at solutions that exist in the market, whether it is for medical appointments, whether it is for salon appointments, all these people, the ISVs, they're focused on this. And we provide a platform for all these people, marketing, agencies, ISVs, to come on board the platform, get going, make it easy for them, and get going.
Right. I want to follow up with, maybe switch gear a bit with implementation, because I think enterprise adoption is key. And so, Nikhil, to you, how should businesses approach in implementing RCS? Is it simply upgrading from SMS, or should they think of it differently? What are your advice to them if they want to start their RCS journey?
So that's a very, very interesting question. And your statement about RCS being the upgrade to SMS it's very easy to see a natural progression there and to just assume that that's the reason RCS is going to bring value. But I think it really depends on the use case. So I did mention security. So for example, if a FedEx or a Blue Dart needs to send a message when your package is coming, if it comes from a verified logo, you know that link is kosher. It's something that you can use and click on. In the past, it came on SMS from some random sender ID, so you weren't that sure. On the other hand, that is not taking into account the full potential of RCS. It's way more flexible. It's broken down into basic. It's broken down to rich. You can have it as a conversational tool. A lot of use cases utilize all these features. So what's most important is to use RCS for sure, but as a proper omni-channel strategy, as part of your proper omni-channel strategy. So whether the interaction with the customer starts with RCS or seamlessly transitions into RCS, that really depends again on the use case, what your customer likes. There was a colleague in the audience who said that the customer is first, so we need to take care of the customer. So in the case of RCS, it already comes in your inbox, your messaging inbox. So you don't have to train or re-educate the end subscriber. So having it as part of a good omni-channel strategy. And the second thing that I always like to say is during implementation, it's very important the what. So the who is something that brands know. It's either prospective customer or it's an existing customer. The how is what we all are here for, all the different channels. But the question is what? The content that's actually going to be sent. And don't overburden the messaging channel with content that's just going to waste bandwidth. But use the use case properly. So good content added to seamless transition and a good omni-channel strategy, I think, is the best way to implement RCS into your existing.
Wonderful. So to add to that, maybe Samir, you can bring more color to this conversation in terms of you work with many operators in Southeast Asia. You've been successful in launching some wonderful use cases. Actually, Peacom won the award at MEFIS for a best engagement. So maybe you can give us a bit of example of what are the compelling use cases that you guys have worked on that has seen tremendous success.
Okay. Thank you, Matt. So first I would like to take the example of Vietnam. Why Vietnam? Because Vietnam was the first country to deploy the Google RCS business message in Asia Pacific. And the example, the use case I would like to refer here is their national airline, which is Vietnam Airline, and where we deployed the first RCS check-in process. Like I was saying in the beginning of the session, that we are the technology enabler. So we know that when we were discussing with the airline, so we know that there is a huge challenge in terms of check-in process. So today when we are also traveling domestically or internationally, we see that for the check-in we need to spend 30 minutes to sometimes even more. So what we have done is that we have provided these solutions to the passengers over the RCS messaging. And of course, this kind of solutioning cannot only be delivered on the RCS. So we also provided on omni-channel way, using even the Viber, iMessage, and so on. But the good thing is that 5% of the total business messaging check-in is done over the RCS. And out of that, nearly 90% messages are delivered, because we get all the information that, hey, these devices are RCS enabled or not, and they are the users. And we even have the very good experience of working with the global distribution system, GDS, whether it is Amadeus or it is Sabre. That is the reason we are able to integrate with all the national carriers of different airlines. So post that, we even have done in some African countries, like in Morocco. We are in our Indonesian national carrier, Garuda Air, is also on the way. So we will be very soon, we'll be launching with them as well. And this GDS is not only used by the airline companies, this can be used even by the hospitality companies like hotels, reservations, travel companies, car rental companies, and so on. So this is just one domain I have mentioned, and similarly the domain can be other. So now I come to my other example, say in Indonesia. By the way, Indonesia in recent past is becoming the hub for digital banking, and a lot of new digi-bankings are also emerging in Indonesia. And so recently we have also deployed our RCS business messaging for the digi-banking companies. And over there also we are finding the very good response from the market. So just to share some metrics, so we are able to have the 40% of delivery rate for our RCS messages over the other channels, be it SMS, emails, or even WhatsApp, because Indonesia is also a big WhatsApp market. Lastly, I would also like to take another use case from Singapore. Very recently, just last week only, the first commercial interactive RCS message has been launched from BB5 and over for the Singtel subscriber, and that is their own product, and they have launched it. And over there also in Singapore also, the response in terms of metrics is very encouraging. So nearly 25 to 30% of the users have responded on, interacted on those RCS messaging. So this is the kind of, you can say, some of the use cases in the different part of Southeast Asia has been implemented over the past.
Wonderful.
Yes.
So on that note, I think I would love to maybe ask Pallavi, when you advise enterprise on how should they, think about positioning RCS within their overall customer communication strategy, when they already invested in SMS, they are looking at WhatsApp, how do you discuss this with your customers? Either or, multi-channel world today. Yep.
So I think I'll pick few lines from the previous panel with Ali from Jio. He mentioned that RCS is more for engagement perspective, right? It's not for the authentication perspective. So rather than looking at the approach of either or, I think we at GTS, we feel that it's both or and. So RCS is the adoption along with the other channels. So it's not the replacement with the other channels. But yes, there are certain definitive advantages over it, that it is app agnostic. You don't have to download any app, right? It's more customer engagement. And what Spandana also mentioned about, for the enterprise perspective, it's more focused on the ROI, right? So ROI, which leads to the CR, the conversion ratio. What is the engagement ratio with the customer and the end user and the enterprise? That brings you the ROI. So these are the two major aspects we have to look into, and rather than saying either or approach, it should be both and together. So that's how the enterprise can expand, and definitely looking at the CPaaS or omni-channel perspective. So RCS would be one of the layer for engaging with the customers. And being app agnostic, it's something which is the biggest advantage RCS has over any other things.
Exactly. So I just want to maybe open up to the panelists on kind of following up from Pallavi's answer and comments there. RCS grow from essentially zero in many countries, including, to claiming significant market share. And of course, it's taken a journey to get to where we are today. I guess maybe, and I think this is mentioned before with Samir and Nikhil and Spandana too, what makes RCS particularly effective for certain use cases compared to the standard? And maybe it's obvious to some, not obvious to other. Help us just, pick a few points on that. I think Barinderpal, you want to jump into that question quickly? Yeah.
Sure. I think RCS, to me, at least brings it, stands out in at least 4 different ways. One is really the experiences that it provides the users, the rich cards, the carousels, the engagement, the visually, the buttons, It's just visually appealing, secured, brand identity, ability of the metrics that it is able to provide. That's one thing. Secondly, it provides, linkage to the Apple and Google, native things. For example, you can connect from an organic search directly into a conversational message. So it allows the link from a Google search, organic search, into an RCS message. Third, it is, and more, the integration with Google Wallet. Samir mentioned Vietnam Airlines, boarding pass. Add a boarding pass to the Google Wallet, add to Apple Wallet in a scenario. And then it's very attractively priced as opposed to other messaging channels. So telcos here have been doing a great job. They're pricing the channel very, very effectively as well. And then RCS continues to evolve the new features. Something very exciting coming up is the WebView feature from RCS that Google has come out, where really it allows everybody to complete end-to-end experiences without really getting out of the messaging channel, whether it is payments, whether it is any kind of a transactional, conversational. So you don't have to go out of the channel anymore. So these 4 things, really are driving RCS, and that's what really keeps people on the channel.
Perfect. I think the theme, as we were prepping this panel, and as I was listening to the expert here, I feel that there are 2 common themes at this stage, which is enterprise adoption. Let's accelerate that. Let's continue to educate the consumer and the enterprise in letting them trying out, adopting, simplifying the integration, with compelling use cases that deliver the ROI, that they would like to see in their communication to their end user. So Spandana, maybe to a question to you, looking at the integration, with Google and AI like Gemini, maybe you can help us, give us a more clarity on some of the RCS innovation implementation do you see emerging that we can, as we talk about this as a crystal ball, what is some of your crystal ball moving forward? Yeah.
I think a lot of exciting features are definitely in the pipeline, right? But I want to pick one point to what Barinderpal was mentioning in terms of conversational, and Ali also from the previous panel did mention that. I think, that's going to be the end game, right? I, as a user, either the brand reaches out to me because of some interest that I would have shown, say, last week, or I proactively reach out to a brand because I need something from a brand. It could be just education, it could be just getting information or getting a product or getting a service, right? I think from a Google innovation perspective, at least today, what I can share 2 use cases actually in India, which I think will be very useful for the group here. So one is there's a leading bank, Axis Bank, which uses RCS for a conversational journey, right? And it is a simple product discovery, product selection journey, and for what it does for the brand, it's a lead gen campaign, right? Versus them just bombarding or making RCS as a glorified SMS. They are using it more from a conversational standpoint to kind of generate the lead and also qualify the lead. The second is a very interesting use case in India. There's this brand called Big Heart. Essentially, it's an agri-tech company, right? And I also want to like slightly divert from the question and also speak to how RCS caters to the tier 2, tier 3 and perhaps semi-rural markets as well in India, right? Because that's huge and big SMS market. So Big Heart, essentially, their use cases, they reach out to the end farmers and they have their presence across all states with different languages. I'm sure like everybody knows India is a very diverse country. So what they've been able to achieve is with a single conversational chatbot journey, they've been able to reach out to 17 states with different languages, and they've garnered 8x times the ROI as compared to even WhatsApp for that matter, right? There's no right or wrong, and again, I agree to everybody who's saying that there needs to be an omni-channel strategy, but what RCS has done today is that. And these are use cases that I can speak about. I'm sure like you know that there are many use cases, very interesting ones that brands are doing today, but for us, the crystal ball is definitely conversational commerce and conversational journeys on RCS.
So I know we have a minute or less than a minute, but I want to not talk about some of the misconception. And it's open to all panelists. If you were to provide one misconception of RCS that you usually, encounter, and the reality that businesses should understand instead. So what would that be? Maybe Barinderpal, you can start from your end there and move to the left.
Sure. I would like to mention two, if you would allow me. I think the first misconception is that RCS is to be used only for marketing. I think that's a big misconception that you hear all around. Like everybody here has said, RCS is great for conversational messaging. You can build use cases. There are great two-way use cases. We've seen several cases. Some of them Spandana pointed out. There are many others. The list is amazing. I think one of the great use cases is metro ticketing. It's a two-way use case where you can purchase metro tickets here. The banks have started using it, healthcare, pharmacy there. And another misconception is, where is RCS coming from? Is it like an invention of Google? RCS is a global standard which is now adopted by all providers, whether it is Google, whether it is Apple, whether it's Samsung, whether it's Huawei. So it's not really a Google invention. It's really a global GSMA standard that is adopted by all providers. So those are two misconceptions regarding RCS.
I know we're past time, but if you guys are good, we can, unless anybody wants to add to wonderful conclusion. Pallavi?
I'll just add one sentence to it, that RCS is not the replacement of any other thing, but it's add-on channel on the omni-channel platform. So definitely rest of the things, rest of the communication channel will be there. It's not a replacement, or it's not going to replace everything. So that is what RCS is about.
Perfect ending. Well, thank you, ladies and gentlemen. Please give our panelists a big hand of welcome.